Well, hello, everybody. This is Jim Graham, and I am really excited to see you all on this webinar. This is a very special evening, morning, or day, wherever you are, because you have some really great content coming to you from none other than Doug Crow. He's going to be sharing with you how to get thousands of targeted hits to your website or landing page in just 48 hours. And what I mean by hits, these are really high authority backlinks, which is going to increase the ranking, and your website will rank on page one, possibly as well, in addition to what he's going to share. Doug, are you here?
I certainly am.
Welcome to the webinar, guys. If you have any questions at all, just go ahead and put those in the questions box. It is enabled for you, so you can ask those questions, and then at the end, I'm sure that we'll try to get those answered for you. Doug, go ahead and take it away.
All right. Thanks so much, Jim. Yes, 48 hours. It's not 48 days or months or weeks. In a couple of days, you can have 1,000 or more targeted hits to your website, and more importantly, create that crowd of hungry buyers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you this by showing you how authentic experts, and I mean authentic meaning people who, they may or may not blog or Facebook or tweet or all that, how they sell and then leverage their brand using the media and using local and national Fox, ABC, NBC, other recognized national media outlets. It's a great way to build a brand, great way to get customers, but it's going to require something of us. And it's going to require us to do something that Apple did back in the 80s. That is to think different. Remember this logo? If you're got a little gray hair in your head, you might remember it. But there's a, this was their old logo back in the 80s when they got started. They didn't say we're building a new computer that's faster or cleaner or is tan instead of black, right? Their whole mantra was thinking different. And that's what you're going to have to do. I'm going to really encourage you to think different and to wipe away, put aside any notions you have about the words such as traffic and SEO and authority, all those things. So we're going to start brand spanking new, very fresh, clean slate here, okay? And the way I'm going to do that is to give you one more image to help you think different. No, this is not candy corn. That's an actual corn kernel. And in about 10 minutes, that corn kernel is going to have a whole lot of meaning to you. And no, you're not on the wrong webinar. This is not about farming. Per se. It is about traffic and getting your website active and getting you more money for your business. But I want you to keep the corn kernel in mind. And with that in mind, also one more thing, we're going to have a good education here, good education section. At the end of that, there may be some opportunities to buy stuff, but during the education portion, no sales. All right. So we're going to break this up into two big chunks. And you'll know when it's and what we're doing and why we're doing it. Okay. So that's going to also entail changing your thinking, not just thinking different, but understanding something. Einstein said that we cannot solve the problems of the same thinking we use when we created them, right? It makes sense. If I'm thinking a certain way and I got problems, the only way to fix those problems is to think different. I've got to use different thinking. So we're going to use all different thinking in the next 30, 40 minutes. And before we get into that in detail, who am I and why can I tell you what I'm telling you? My name is Doug Crow, and I'm a business owner, and I'm a former ABC radio host. I'm also the founder of a company called Author Your Brand, which creates books for people, and I'm a journalist of a company called Newswire. And what I do, what I really enjoy, what I'm passionate about, is helping entrepreneurs and professionals really eliminate the overwhelm and the myths of becoming a recognized expert. And I do that through the news, and we'll talk about that in detail here. So that's who I am, but let's talk about you. That's much more important for this time we have together. So what are you doing right now? What have you been doing the past few weeks or months to build your business? This is some fundamental stuff. Well, Doug, I've got a website, right? Everybody has to have a website nowadays if you're in business. So you put some money, whatever it is, $1,500, maybe more, into your website, and it's up and running, or maybe it's not. Maybe you're still working on it or continue to work on it. But obviously that's just one piece of the puzzle. You have to have more things here to build your company up. So we're taught to also do LinkedIn. That's a very professional opportunity to not just have your resume out there, but to connect with other professionals. So to do that right, you need to post articles, have a professionally written position, connect with other influencers, connect with other clients perhaps, do it without being spammy. Is that enough? No, we got to have more than that. The internet is now the video age. So you can't be a successful entrepreneur or a successful business owner of any kind without having a YouTube channel and putting some money into that in terms of making it look sharp, creating some videos, editing the videos, publishing those, SEOing those, getting them shared, getting them liked, getting comments on it. Takes a lot of time to do all that stuff, right? Is that enough? Probably not. We're also taught we should blog, right? We should blog. Blogs are a little bit cheaper than a regular website. You can use WordPress and set up a nice blog, nice clean place to post your content and tell your people how smart you are, tell them what you had for breakfast or what you learned when you read the internet today. And your people are regurgitating a lot of ideas, and there's a big push for content marketing, which is important to do, but that also requires some time. So far, we're up to about 30 hours a week, and we're just getting started now. What about Facebook? Oh my gosh, Facebook, one of the top sites on the internet. If you don't have a professional business Facebook page, professional personal page, maybe a group site as well, you're missing out on a lot of traffic. You're also missing out on a lot of engagement. So you better be posting some time there, getting engaged with your fans and customers and friends, and that's important to do. You've got to have some connections with people in order to sell something, right? Is this enough to get your business going? Now we're up to what, 30, 40, we're up to 40 hours at least, maybe 30, 40 hours here, and we spent some money. Is that enough? Nah. You know what? Your website's still lost in the sea of websites. There's several billion web pages out there. You've got to put some money towards SEO, search engine optimization, so you can compete on those very special keywords. Does that work for people? Well, it works for some, not for everybody. I'm an author. I'm a publisher. I help people get books done. So for the past 7 years, I've helped people craft well-positioned and well-crafted books that set them apart from their competition, making them Amazon bestsellers. It's a passion of mine. I really enjoy doing it. My clients typically spend $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 to have a really well-positioned book, ghostwritten, edited, published, and published and put online and made a bestseller. Generally takes 3, 8, sometimes 12 months to do that. So no matter what you're doing right now, you're doing some, maybe you've done all of this, and you invested a lot of time and money. So take a moment, pause, and reflect on what you've done. And then ask yourself this very difficult question. How much are you making in all this effort? You put all this time and money into your business. So what's your ROI? What's your return on your investment? For a lot of marketers, the sad truth is a lot of them aren't even earning minimum wage on those efforts. They may be earning more in their job or other portions of their business, but online, most people are struggling. If you're making money, you're one of the lucky few. I congratulate you. But regardless of where you are, whether you're making above minimum wage, below, or where, it doesn't matter, there's a hard part coming up here. And the hard part has to do with this guy right here. Can you recognize him? That is a young Kevin Costner from the very wonderful movie, Field of Dreams. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you watch the movie. It's a very inspirational, great film. Lot of fun things there, but the overall theme was one of hope and inspiration. And throughout the movie, there's this voice, this mystical voice, this ghost talking to Kevin Costner, saying these words: "If you build it, they will come." And he's crazy, right? And people are, his neighbors and his banker, telling him, "Stop tearing up your cornfields and making a baseball diamond. Nothing's coming. You're just wasting money. It's going to kill you." The voice kept telling him, "If you build it, they will come." And nobody believes him. His wife sticks by him, but it's a big challenge for him. But in one day, one special, very, very special evening, they came, right? The ghost of the Chicago baseball team from years ago. And it was just such an inspirational, fun, positive, enjoyable movie. I highly recommend it. The theme is beautiful, The theme, unfortunately, has been taught to us in business. And, if you build it, they will come, is what we're taught by our business mentors and our coaches and our marketers and our people out there. And if I was Dr. Phil McGraw, I'd ask you this question, how's that working for you? I can't do his accent very well, but if you know this guy, he would ask you point blank, if you build it, did they come? Did you put all that money and time into your web properties and your marketing, and are you making more money than you can spend? Are you doing really well? If you were, you probably wouldn't be on the webinar. So a lot of people go, "Wow, Doug, you're right. I put all this money out there." I mean, there's a little hand button on this webinar. Go ahead and push that hand. I want to see a count of hands. Push the hand button if you're making more money than you spend on your Right. Okay. Most people are not making more money than they've spent on building their website. So I want to change that for you. A lot of people are taught to do advertising. There's so many people say, hey, you can do advertising now. You can do it through Google AdWords or Facebook ads, or there's a lot of things you do for advertising. That's one way to get noticed, right? In my world, when we talk about thinking different, right? Advertising, quite frankly, to me is pretty annoying, right? I'm sitting there reading something and this ad pops up and it's trying to get my attention, it's trying to distract me from what I was reading. And then I close that window, I go somewhere else, and that same ad or that thing I was looking at starts following me around the internet, those pixel tracking. It's crazy, it's very annoying, right? And when it follows me around, I get confused. I was like, wait a minute, was I looking at this or not? I was looking, I mean, who here has been on a website and about 4 minutes later, you're on a completely different website, you don't know how you got there, what you're looking at, and you forgot where you even started. Raise your hand if that ever happened to you, okay? There's some hands, right? Yes, all the time. So that's very annoying and confusing, and it works sometimes, right? It distracts people, but does it give you what you really need? After being distracted isn't the same as being engaged and people buying stuff. To do that well with advertising, you probably already know this, but that's very expensive. Large companies can spend millions of dollars a day to tweak and adjust their advertising to work for them, and they've got national, international brands doing billions, and it can work for them because they've got all these analytics and stuff. Speaking of analytics, if you are advertising or even doing organic stuff with your website, do you have any traffic there? If you don't have tracking on there, you can't even answer that question. You don't even know. If you do have traffic, where's it coming from? There's a thing called a refer URL. Like if somebody lands your website, why did they show up there? Did they come there just by surfing the internet? Did they come there by an email from you? Did they come from a news article? How did they get there? Who are they? Are they a 12-year-old kid who doesn't have a credit card, or someone who's bored or lost? How long do they stay on your website? Why did they leave after they left your website? What was it about your website that caused them to leave? Did they click on anything? Did any of your posts, your famous blog that you put all the time into, or that ad or that giveaway, did they click on anything there? Did they buy something? Yeah, Yahoo if they did. But you know the numbers on that, right? Most people don't buy. Out of 100 people that come to your website, 99, 95% of them don't buy a darn thing. They leave. Most of the people who come to your website don't stay. Now, wouldn't it be good to know why they didn't buy, who they are, where else they went to? You spend a lot of time and money and energy building all your web properties up, and you hopefully have some traffic going there, but most of us don't have enough. See, after you build it, it's really just all about the traffic. That's it. And it's not just any old traffic, right? It's important to have traffic, certainly, but it's more important to have traffic that's targeted. I want it targeted to you and your direct benefit. And so that's the thing we're going to talk about. We're not going to talk about the typical ways to get. Most people talk about getting traffic. Basically, there's two large ways, which is organic stuff. People go to your Facebook page and you write something clever there, and they say, "Oh yeah, where's your website?" Right? That might happen. Same thing with LinkedIn or YouTube. But they also spend money on getting traffic. You can put advertisements on Google on the right side there and try to advertise things. You can advertise in magazines. You could advertise not just online but offline. You could do pay per action, where they actually do something and you get paid for an action they take. You can buy traffic on some of these goofy websites like Fiverr that will send you loads of traffic. Millions of visitors go to your website, and it's all basically robots. It doesn't count. You can do the advertising on Facebook. Jim is very good at that. So if you're going to go into that, make sure you get somebody who knows what they're doing. You can use your blog. You can use a podcast or any kind of other media channels. You can even use software to get traffic, right? There's a lot of ways to get traffic. It's all pretty much hit and miss, and you spend a lot of time and money and energy trying to get people to notice you. Listen, you're on this webinar, and ask yourself this question. You don't have to raise your hand on this one, but just silently ask yourself, are you really satisfied with the traffic you're getting right now? You know, no, no, but everybody wants more, but some people want a lot more. Some people need a lot more in order to get going. See, the typical marketer is just not getting results. They're taught all this blogging, social media, podcast engagement, blah, blah stuff. But the bottom line, only thing you really should care about is, are you being found on the very first page of Google when people are looking for what you have to offer? Is that it? That's it. Because if you're not, it's all just it's just running around, really, is what it is. So what I'm going to share with you in a few minutes how you can be found on page 1 of Google over and over again, hundreds of times every single day. And what this will do, it's going to give you thousands of these targeted hits to your website. And we're talking about actually instant targeted traffic, not something that's taking months and weeks to do, but like within a few days. So what would that mean to you? Hopefully most of you have a website. If you don't, certainly connect with us later to help you with that. But let's talk about if you have a website right now, and I'm going to assume you've got some product on there, right? A product or service. Let's call it a $97 product, and you have 1,000 targeted hits to your website. 1,000 people go, boom, what do you got? If you've got a decent conversion, say 10% conversion, okay, that's out of 1,000 hits, that's 100 people on a $97 product. That equals $9,700 in revenue. Targeted traffic and a good conversion. That is no small amount of money. It's not a huge amount, but it's a great start. Wouldn't that be good for you? Wouldn't you enjoy having 1,000 targeted hits and making 10 grand this week or next week? Raise your hand if that sounds of interest to anybody here. And you see the hand thing, right? Yes, yes. I see some hands going up here, right? Okay, of course. So here's my new way of getting targeted traffic. So follow me on this. I'm going to go at a medium pace, okay? But what I do is I write quality articles that news sites want to reproduce, right? I share these articles with the news websites, and the news websites share it as well, and they do it automatically, okay? Now, this is the way it works. In regular marketing and branding and sales, a really good copywriter can make upwards of $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 to write a very well-crafted and a psychologically compelling sales page, sales letter, right? I think Jim mentioned he spent upwards of $25,000 to have somebody craft a really good sales letter for the company, because that can convert into millions if you reach enough people. So someone has to go and create converting sales copy, spending a lot of money. In this case, what I do is I write converting sales article without selling at all. Now think about that. In a typical sales copy, you've got to do all the psychological, NLP, mumbo jumbo, get them involved, get the story told, really compel them and say, and people read this and they know you're going to be selling them something, right? They're hardwired to be repulsed by being sold. But what we do is we're storytelling, where people actually read and take action, not selling, but storytelling. It's a huge differentiator. There's going to be 3 big points this webinar. That's the first one you got to understand. And if you want to take a note and write it down, then please go right ahead. Storytelling is what we do as human beings. We share stories. We get emotional with stories. We laugh and we cry, and we share them and we remember them. Okay? I don't remember the salesman's name about sold me a car, but I can tell you the movie I saw last year or last week, because there was a story there. Okay, so my breakdown goes like this. I share this very special story with the top 250 news sites around the globe. And the reason I'm able to do this is I'm a journalist myself. In other words, the layman doesn't have the credentials to even get in this door. There's no credentials, there's technically there's no door. So what we want through this process is viral shares. See, the news sites have to like my story. If they don't like it, it goes nowhere. It goes where all those press releases and boring things and the most blog posts never get read because they're not interesting. They're not stories, right? When they do share them, it goes viral because we've got news agencies sharing them across the globe. Much, much better. This is why it's vital to have the right kind of article written in order for it to go viral. It can't just be anything. It can't just be a goofy cat video or something like the new jetpack man we saw today on the internet. It's got to be a good story that is that will go viral. The big differentiator between what I do and what you may be thinking that I do is this one, right? I don't do what's called a press release. There are press release firms out there that do, hey, John D. accounting firm hired 2 new people today. I mean, nobody cares about that. Or XYZ Corporation launched a new widget. Nobody cares about that either. Okay, those are people releasing to the media something about themselves, and that's self-serving, boring, and nobody reads it except the person who paid for it and their mom. And those cost generally about $400 or $500 to do a press release, by the way, just for a point of fact. What we do is we craft stories that people actually read and take action upon, right? And when that action is going to take them to a buy button on your website. And the cool thing here is, think about this. How many of you have ever commented or liked or shared a news article? You know, when a celebrity does something, or when a sports team wins a game, or something happens politically or in science or in nature or in your school, locally, regionally, nationally, whatever it is, we share that information, right? We share the cat videos too. I understand that. That's fun. But we share things that we want to share with people. That's great. You've been doing it for a while now. But isn't it your turn? You've already done this for others. Now, we're going to start doing it for you. Okay? Let me share with you some how this works result-wise. The result to sharing your article over and over again in hundreds of news sites is you now will get highly targeted clicks to your website. What this does when you do it the right way, which is building these links with the news agencies, that gives you huge, what they call SEO juice, right? Search engine optimization. When you've got a backlink from an ABC or a CNN or a BBC report online, that is much different than getting a blog shared from Uncle Fester, right? You're getting a link from a high authority news site. That is powerful stuff. That is the kind of action, that is the kind of linking that gets your website, your landing page highly ranked in the search engines. So that's point 2. It's that we're not talking about any crappy traffic here. It's really high PR stuff. Okay, the results are this happens over and over and over again when you do it on a monthly basis, right? This is what everybody is taught. Remember that corn kernel at the beginning of this? Everyone's given a corn kernel. Hey, I've got a business. Hey, I've got an idea. Okay, good. Let's go plant it in the internet. Let's go plant your corn kernel in the internet. What's going to happen next? Well, you need a website. Good. I built a website. Whew. That took a week, a month, a year. Right? Now what? Well, your website's lost in a sea of 3 billion web pages out there. Now what? You better blog on it and put some content on there so people can see how smart you are. Great. How's that working? Not good enough. We need some videos. Let's put videos on there. Great. Let's put a Facebook page on there. Let's keep building this corn stalk with more content, right? And we're taught that if you do all these things, remember, if you build it, they will come. But there's a problem, guys. There's a huge problem. The problem is everyone else is doing the exact same thing. And it's not just everybody in your neighborhood, not just everybody within 25 miles of you, right? We're talking about your entire region, right? Whether it's in your state, right? Or even in your country. I mean, worldwide, everybody is taught to build it, to build their corn stalks. And this is what it looks like. I'm your customer, and I'm looking at 1,000, 10,000 different options for your benefit, for your product or your service. How do I find you? Are you standing out? That little buy button is lost, right? There's absolutely no way people are with building a little bit of content, right? Putting your media, social media out there, right? That cornstalk system is antiquated. Building a cornstalk is not going to cut it for you anymore. It might have done it in the first 3 to 4 years of the internet when not everybody was out there. Ooh, I had a website, but not anymore. Everyone's got one. You're like everybody else. Let's dominate your market instead, shall we? I don't think a cornstalk is a good idea. I'd like you to actually think much, much bigger. Let's take your buy button. Let's take your sales page. Let's take your business. and let's really blow it up. Let's get a bunch of people talking about you, and not your social friends on Facebook and LinkedIn. Let's get some high authority sites talking about you. Let's get your story on ABC, on Fox, and the Boston Globe, in your local newspaper, in your trade magazine. Let's do that from sites that are way bigger than yours, linking into you. And then let's get those sites to share it to other ones. So that's not just your typical 10 or 20 news sites. Let's get a couple of hundred of them to share it and link it and send them all to you, shared by thousands of other people. How does that sound? Does that sound like a much better plan than planting a cornstalk in a field of dreams, right? Raise your hand if that sounds like a good idea. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Here's what all this really means to you. You will have authority backlinks, right? That get your websites ranked higher, that get your articles ranked higher, that get your landing pages ranked higher, and your sales pages ranked higher. Which brings us to the most important thing of all. Get your buy buttons found. Time to make some sales, right? More sales, that will beat your competition. Let me give you an example of what we did just a few months ago for one of my clients. Here's a guy who was a school teacher, and he's a really positive, good motivator, good engager. He wrote a compilation book, really. He had some people contribute to his book, and said, Doug, I want to start speaking and teaching people about success, whatnot. Positive, sharp guy. Here's this school teacher, and this is the before and after pictures, right? All of a sudden, he went from zero to consulting fees of $25,000 as a result of my news articles about him. And not only did he start charging more fees for his consulting, but lo and behold, he became an Amazon #1 bestseller. Now, this is not some bestseller in some little rinky-dink category down at the bottom of the page. This is in business mentoring and coaching. He was #1. #2 at this time, Neil Ferrazzi, New York Times bestseller, recognized as one of the top business books 3 years in a row. So what we do by putting people in news is we basically make you famous. And it gets you ranked. Here's one of my clients did a program on female leadership. At press time, 16 million results on Google. Her article, #1. Here's a guy who did a book last year, and his story, again, #1 on Google. There's this picture right there. An article got shared by Bloomberg just 2 weeks ago. One of my clients had his article, his news story, and it was a strange topic. It was about when your CPA land you in jail. It was some IRS thing, right? The article got indexed on Google to over 2,000 pages and got picked up by Bloomberg News, right? He got famous on this one article. Matter of fact, there's a guy you may have heard about, Jim Graham, who has coming up in an event in Chiang Mai, Thailand, right? International event. And we did a story, and the story was not about Jim. It was not about his event. It was about education, entrepreneurship. And Jim commented on the story because he's very knowledgeable about that. And his comment in his news story got picked up by over 250 news channels. He got 5,000 views in 2 days to his event, his website. This is for a high-ticket product. Who this program is not for is very clear. This is not for your get-rich-quick guys, all right? Now, I'm talking about speed. I can get you a lot of traffic very quickly, but the entire process of being in the local, regional, national media does take some time. You're not going to have, if you want to make $2 million tomorrow, then, you have to be a drug dealer. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that here, right? Get rich quick. Let's get real. Also, it's not for fake experts. The internet is very transparent. Journalism is even more transparent. Just ask Brian Williams. You've got to be honest with people. You got to tell them what you can and what you cannot do. If you're a new expert, that's different. I can take a new expert and put you above experienced ones with our media connections. That's one thing we can do. If you have no product or service or website, this is not for you. It can be for you in the future. And if you're looking to have somebody help you craft a unique product or position what you have in a very compelling manner, we can help with that. But the rest of this teaching, it's not going to help you out right now because you have to have something to send that traffic to. And then quick confession in terms of how this works is that personally, I have an advantage. The advantage of working with me technically is that I have this exclusive credentials to get your story ranked on page 1 of Google. And Worldwide, I'm only about 20 people that have these credentials and have this complete system locked down right now. So keep that in mind as we go through this, because this is very unique and there's hardly anybody else doing this. So imagine this scenario. What if your story happened to be shared hundreds or even thousands of times on important websites? What if you had, instead of 1,000 hits, what if you had 5,000 hits to your website and it converted at only 10% on your little $97 product? That'd be $50,000. It's not so bad. Now it's turning to real money, right? Sound like a stretch? Absolutely not. When I did it, what got me there was this: quality news stories that were shared thousands of times. When they're positioned right and with high quality, readable, and shareable content. And this has to be all done with a proven formula and with my credentials. See, the way it works is how you're positioned online. And once you've done that, now you get to be on page 1 of Google. And the way this works, there's an actual specific 5-step formula for saying it right. So I'd like to teach you this formula right now, the specific stuff I'm going to get into. I'll give you the overview first, then the specifics, and we'll get into the details, all right? So the steps are very simple. Number 1, follow trending news. Number 2, include compelling opinion about that news. Number 3, position yourself in that story and your solution in that story. Get those stories shared by hundreds of news websites, and then get other websites to pick up and share your story. That's the 5 steps: trending, compelling, position, shared, your story, all over the internet. When you do those things in sequence, you get targeted